Oh, we're live now?
Yeah, I just don't know what.
Is it, do you see it?
No, because I don't know what the link is just yet. Hang on 1 second.
No.
Oh my god.
Just send it to Steph when you have it.
Okay.
I was waiting at
You what?
I was waiting to hear that.
Oh. Okay. So we're having some technical difficulties. This is live YouTubing, not stressful at all. But we will be right back. I'm going to give you a new link because the old link died. So hold tight, we'll be right there. Okay, pizza to come, pizza to come. Yay! Did it generate a link, Bud?
Yep.
Oh, good. Okay.
I
Can you send it to me?
You're on.
Oh, okay, but does anybody have that link or we're back to the old one?
No,
Can you see it?
no, I haven't.
I need a link to send to people.
Yeah,
right?
I'll
Or you
send
can
it.
see. No, okay. Yeah, send me the link.
I just sent it to you in text.
Great. No, I didn't get it.
Look at the text between me and you.
Oh. Okay. Okay, but we're going. Okay, we can just start. Oh, good. Okay, paste, new link. Oh, okay, tell her to put it onto. Sorry. Okay, so we're going. I can't tell. Can you see?
Yeah.
No, I don't know what the link is.
Oh.
How do I find the link?
Oh, got it. So we need to tell people. Nobody can see it.
Is there a way to put it in the comments?
You can put it in the comments of this 35-second
Yeah.
video as
Yeah.
well.
I think Stephanie did. Okay.
She could change the title to include the new.
Okay, so I guess we're live now. Stephanie is putting the new link into the chat, so hopefully some of you are here and can see this, but we're going to give everybody a minute to sort of shift gears and come over and join us in this live, and we will make pizza soon. So sorry about that. I'm gonna just drop a little note on Instagram. Okay. New link. Okay. Is it up? Oh, we're up. Yay, we're here.
Pizza time.
We're here.
Stephanie said there's 50 people watching.
Oh,
All right,
thank
great.
you all for like staying and hanging out and waiting for us to get our technical difficulties all fixed up. First of all, I have to thank my husband Graham, who just made this all happen. He sets everything up, and I could not do this without him. And thank you for figuring that out. That was amazing. And
Very
I have,
stressful. It
Yeah,
was
very-
stressful.
it was
I felt
very
very bad.
stressful.
There was no help I could
But
offer
now
at all.
we
Very
get-
technical.
Now we get to make pizza, so
Yeah.
everything is going to be okay. This is my
Faith in
friend
Graham.
Peter. He owns the most incredible pizza shop in town, Red Wagon Pizza.
Tell them more about how incredible it is.
It
That
is
felt
just,
really good.
it's brilliant,
kidding.
delicious, just incredible dough,
Thank you.
incredible pizzas,
you.
incredible man.
Oh.
He's here with me today to help. He also brought his portable pizza oven so that you can watch him go in and out of that.
I won't go in. I'll put pizza in though.
Yeah, well, you never know. After everything that just happened,
Yeah.
we can't be sure.
True.
And we're here to raise some money because World Central Kitchen is out in the world doing incredible work, really everywhere that they have a crisis, a catastrophe, a natural disaster, war zones. They will go anywhere and everywhere to feed people. And it costs money to do it. So that's where we come in.
Very urgent,
Urgent.
response as well. I mean,
Yeah.
the moment things
Like
happen,
the
they're on the
day.
ground when the news people are there, just learning
Yeah,
of things. Their
it's
response
right.
time is incredible.
Incredible. And they are obviously in LA helping the people who have lost everything in these wildfires. My son Henry is out there in LA. He's completely fine. Smoke is affecting him, but other than that, he is absolutely fine. But there's a lot of people that aren't, and so we want to help them. And there's people just all over the country who are going through this. And so World Central Kitchen, amazing organization. We're going to raise a lot of money. Shannon, do you mind coming to say hi? This is our friend Shannon.
Hi.
And she has so graciously and generously volunteered to match your donations up to $25,000. Incredible. So for this,
So good.
So glad to do it. So, and my family food is love, so this is my love language
Yeah.
too, so I'm just glad to be a part of
yeah,
it.
I have the best village. I mean, you really can't do these things alone, and I'm so grateful to have friends that will come and help me, and family, and dogs.
And dogs. And I'm grateful
Most
to be
adorable
included.
dogs,
I think
by the way.
when all of this stuff happens, whether it's in North Carolina or Los Angeles, I think we all over the country want to do something. We want to get engaged.
That's
We
right.
want to do more than just
Yes.
watch it on the TV or send a nice note. We want to
Absolutely.
activate. And so thank you for providing this
Oh.
opportunity for me to join. And
Yeah.
You guys cook away.
Yeah,
Alright.
okay, so we're gonna make pizza because I know that's why you're here. So please donate as much as you can. Shannon will double it. So it's such a great time to donate because your money will go twice as far. But what we're here to do is make pizza.
Yes.
And so I'm going to really quickly show you how to make the dough. It could not be easier. This is
and welcome to
Ha-
my kitchen.
Graham.
Today on tips and
Graham.
techniques, I'm going to be talking about
We can hear the.
and specifically
You're
salt.
like playing it back, I think.
If you have a recipe that calls for
This is definitely a work in progress. But all of a sudden I could hear my own voice, so that needed to stop because I can hear my voice in my head all the time anyway. Okay, so this is a very, very simple dough. It happens to be the most popular recipe on my website right now, so lots of people wanting to make pizza. I'm making a half batch today because I've made a bunch of pizza dough already and we just don't need that much pizza dough. I generally start in a container like this. This way I can mix it and store it in the same container. You can also do this just in a bowl, a large bowl. This is 6 quarts, which will hold a full recipe. You can also do it in your stand mixer with the dough attachment. So however you want to do it is great. I am just going to pour all of the ingredients into the bucket and stir it. That's really all that it takes to make pizza dough. On the website, there should be a link to the recipe there. Oh, I also have to thank Stephanie, who makes all of the recipes available. She'll help you in the chats. She really sets up everything for the website and everything. So nothing would happen without her. So she'll get you the recipe if it's not there already. So I am going to just dump my water into the bucket. A little bit of olive oil.
Is your water cold, room temp? Where
Okay,
you're starting
so
at? I'm sure it's on the recipe, but I don't have it here. I'm just curious.
It can be warm to cool.
Okay.
The only thing actually that will kill yeast is the hot water. And so you don't want it to be hot. If you have the water at room temperature or a little warmer, like almost like bath water temperature, I think like 110 degrees sounds about right. I maybe just made that up.
It sounded great though. I bought it.
I know. I should have just stuck the landing. The warmer the water is, the faster the yeast will activate. If your water is cool though, it takes longer for the fermentation and you may actually prefer the flavor of the dough. So really, but that's a play thing. So
Yeah.
like if you need the dough spontaneously and quickly, use warmer water.
Yeah, and let it bloom faster
And
before you
let
add the
it,
flour.
yeah, let it go faster. A little bit of olive oil. The measurements are in the recipe. I won't have you just wing it. A little bit of olive oil to tenderize the dough. And then I have a tiny bit of sugar. You absolutely do not need to use sugar because there's enough sugar just from the starches in the flour to activate the yeast, but this will just give it a little jump start. And then I'm gonna add my flour. Like I said, I'm doing a half batch, so 500 grams of flour. Typically when I do a full batch, it's a full bag of Caputo flour. We're gonna have a conversation about flour because
Fight about it.
we're gonna fight about it. I like using Caputo. It's a 00 flour, which just means it's ground really, really finely. I love the outcome of the pizza. I love the tenderness of the crust. I think that it just makes a beautiful pizza dough. So 500 grams of that.
Can I ask a quick question
Yeah.
before we jump over to the flour? So
Yeah.
I've never made pizza dough with sugar personally.
Oh,
I've never
sure.
added it.
Yeah.
And I've had
Don't-
this recipe many times
Yep.
before with you
Yep.
and at home. But I'm curious, I didn't realize that it was the sugar that's helping jumpstart the fermentation. Is that what's going on there?
Yeah, because the yeast is feeding off of the starches in the flour.
Right.
And the starch is essentially just turned to sugar.
Right.
So by adding a tiny bit of sugar, you're like giving them fast food.
Higher
It's
octane.
like fast food.
Right. I don't think it sounds like that at all. But I
It is-
like
no, it really is. It's just like giving them fast food. And so it will just sort of activate your yeast a little bit faster.
Okay.
It doesn't make the dough sweet. I'm
no,
not adding
because
enough.
that's what I was curious. I've never tasted any
Yeah.
sweetness.
Yeah. Okay, yeast. We need that to make this rise. I am using platinum yeast by Red Star. You can use instant yeast, active yeast. I have done this with just about every kind of yeast, cake yeast, fresh cake. Do you use fresh cake yeast at
No.
the restaurant? Do you use sourdough?
No,
No, just
instant.
instant yeast. Okay. This is instant yeast, but it has a dough enhancer in it. It's just an enzyme that makes the dough rise higher, faster, and makes a stronger gluten, so that you get a really amazing stretch to your dough. But yeah, so platinum yeast, that's by Red Star. If you don't have it, it's fine. It'll work with instant yeast and also active yeast.
Active.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so everything goes in there. Salt. Salt is key for the balance of the flavor. I like a salty dough.
Yeah, I
Do
add salt.
you?
I do a salt add, but only after an auto lease.
Right. So we do none of that.
Sorry, we're not going into that right now.
No. Yeah, so you can explain what that is while I'm mixing this. This is a very fast dough, and I love the results of it for how fast it is.
Same. The first time I saw you make it, I was blown away. And this thing blew me away. I don't know who at home has these, but the first time I ever seen one in use was with Zoe here, and it's the coolest tool that I don't have. And it's unnecessary. You do not need a stand mixer to make it at all.
You don't.
This is incredible how
Okay,
quickly
so
it goes.
this is a Danish dough whisk. We do have a link to it in the chat, I think.
And you have
If
so
we
many, I'm
don't
probably
now,
gonna steal
Stephanie will
one,
put one
because
there.
there's so many in the
I
corner.
have,
might
yeah, I
take
have
one
like
from
20 of them. You are more than welcome to steal one. It's a Danish dough whisk, and the reason that I love it is because it's a wire whisk. It's a very heavy-duty wire, but as opposed to using a spoon, which is a solid mass, the spoon will give, and my dog has lots of opinions about this, the spoon will resist stirring, whereas this will glide right through the dough. So everything just gets dumped in. We stir it together until there aren't any lumps of dry flour, and then that is it. We're not kneading it. We're not, making sure that it's nice and smooth.
No,
We
it's
are
just a shag, right?
it's shaggy, it's lumpy, it's not particularly pretty.
I like it. Looks very pretty to me.
It smells good.
It does smell
It smells
really
good. And if you need to, you can get down in there with your hand and do it. And like I said, you can absolutely do this in a stand mixer with a dough attachment if you don't want to exert even this much effort. But that was
It didn't seem like a lot of effort. You made it easy work of it.
It's not, and that's it. And then I am going to cover this. You can see it's just kind of craggly, lumpy. There's no stretch to it, and it's it doesn't look like your typical traditional beautiful stretchy dough. And then you let it sit for 2 hours. I'm gonna just put ta-da. Thank you very much.
Wait, get this out of the way.
Well, let me just, and then we'll just put a lid on it, let it sit for 2 hours. After the 2 hours, you can use it or you can refrigerate it. So I made this yesterday. I let it sit for 2 hours to activate the yeast, and then I refrigerated it overnight. It's been about 24 hours since I mixed this up. And now you can see that like craggly,
Smells good.
yeah, lumpy, not so sexy dough has a ton. Oh, let me get some flour in there. I'm gonna just dust the top with a little bit of flour.
What's your opinion of using wet hands when you touch sticky
Yeah,
dough?
you could
Do you
do-
think it adds more hydration to the dough that's unnecessary? Do you always default to flour, or do you sometimes use water?
No. Water or even sometimes olive oil.
Okay.
Will do anything that will prevent it from sticking to your hands. I like the flour sometimes because I don't want it to be like a sloshy
Sure.
mess when I'm rolling it out. But wet hands will do it too. So I sprinkle the top with a little bit of flour, again, just to prevent it from sticking to my hands. And then I reach in and look at that. Graham, can you get down into the bowl? No? I'm not sure you can hear me. Graham?
I can't. That
Oh.
camera shut off.
Oh, it shut off? Okay, great. So look at this now. So I have that same dough after sitting for a while is nice and stretchy. Basically what happens is as the dough is sitting, because it's a wet dough, the gluten forms all on its own. So I don't have to knead it. I just stir it together, let it sit, and it becomes this elastic, beautiful dough. And I figure if the dough is willing to do all the work on its own, why should
Get
it
out
do
of the
it?
way.
Get out
Just
of
get
the
out of
way.
the way.
Exactly. So now to form it, I have this sort of like craggly ball. I'm just gonna lift it up, and essentially what I'm trying to do is stretch a nice, it's called gluten cloak, so I'm trying to stretch a nice skin around the top and get all of the sort of craggly ends on the bottom. And then I just pinch them like that, and then I have my dough ball. That simple. It shouldn't take more than like 20-30 seconds for you to form a dough ball. So we'll do a couple of those.
I do the drag.
Yeah, you can drag it, but you don't have
You don't have,
to.
this is such a soft dough, I don't think you have to at all.
You really don't have
Maybe
to,
not.
but if you can, for sure, if you want to get, the other thing is that it doesn't need to be a really tight dough because we're going to be spreading it out anyway. So that's it. You saw, I was like, I just reflexively did it, 20 seconds.
Yeah.
And you formed a ball of dough. So that's it. We dump everything in a bucket, we stir it up, let it rest, 20 seconds of forming a ball, and that's it. And now,
I didn't get enough flour on my hands. It's quite sticky.
oh, that's awesome. And now we get to play with it. So after you form the dough, you do need to let it rest again. To let the yeast activate again. If I were to try to roll the dough out right away, it would resist me. It would just fight back. And so you need to let the dough relax and rise up a little bit more. And so you can let it sit out for, depending on how warm your kitchen is, anywhere from a half an hour to 3 hours. So like I'll do the dough balls. Well, let me just show you.
Yeah, I got it.
What I do is I put them, maybe I'll just I'll switch. So look at that. This, let me get one ready to go. You
Ready?
can just, yeah, lay it right there. So this is a dough ball that's been sitting out for about an hour and a half. And it's nice and fluffy and light, and it's, well, let me just show you. We're going to roll this out, not roll it, but we're gonna stretch this out. I'm just gonna use my hands. You absolutely could use a rolling pin, because there are no rules.
There's no rules.
There's no
There's
rules.
no rules. There's standards, but there's no rules.
Today our standards may be lower.
We're not going into business. This is having fun at home.
So, in Naples, if you go and you have pizza, there are rules.
Oh, yeah.
So many rules. And
Too
one
many.
of them is that you can't use a rolling pin, right? We have none of those rules. So if you want to use a rolling pin, absolutely do it. I do it with just my hands. I'm going to use enough flour on the surface to prevent it from sticking, because there's nothing worse than like getting it totally rolled out and beautiful, and then it's just glued to the counter.
Yeah. And
So-
you have a hard time getting in the oven at that point.
And then it's impossible
Yeah,
to get in
impossible.
the oven. The first thing that I'm gonna do is dimple it with my fingertips. So I'm just going to like poke it. Not all the way through, but just poke it. That relaxes some of those air bubbles. If I were to just try to stretch it right away, I would just have these giant air bubbles all over. So just a little poke. And then I'm gonna lift it up and just sort of let the weight of the dough stretch it out. And so I just sort of hold it like this. I'm not pulling, I'm just letting the dough sort of stretch. And then I'm gonna put it on the backs of my hands. You never wanna use your fingertips, because your fingertips, it's gonna get really thin and your fingertips are gonna go right through the dough. And so I always use the back of my hands, and I'm just sort of like lifting it and stretching it very, very gently and then twisting. And I'm doing it kind of in the middle of the dough. I'm not doing it right at the edge. So the edge is kind of like hanging over my knuckles, and I'm stretching like this. And just very, very gently, and just keep going around, and you can see that it's getting bigger and bigger. And then the fun part is that you have to flip it. Well, you don't have to flip it.
Oh, are you gonna do that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, yeah.
Should I stand back?
Stand back. Stand back. Well, you might want to, well, you have glasses on, so if I get flour all over you. Okay, so if you want to flip it, which you absolutely don't have to do, but it's super fun, so you do kind of have to do it.
Big signals.
Yeah. So you're gonna start with your hands like this, and the goal is to unwind, and then you want to point to wherever you want it to go. If you don't do the pointing thing, it'll fly off into another direction. Okay, so twist, and then we're gonna sort of propel it up. I don't know how high you can see, but
Oh, that was great.
Woo! I didn't point. So
You did,
it's
there was
like,
no pointing. I was looking for with a point to
and
know
there
where to
was
land.
sort of like
and-
a rain of shower over your head. Okay.
Let's see. Yeah, look at that.
No. Can we see? That's the problem with live, is I
cut.
can't edit that out.
Right. So if you can edit this at home in your
Yes.
mind,
Yes,
Ignore
that
what you
was
just saw.
perfect. It went up. It was perfectly round, but it does sort of thin it out and get a nice shape.
it does, and I
To
think
it.
with the way you're doing it as well, it provides, you have a little bit more thickness on your crust too. So once you do put the toppings on the peel, you can get a little bit more stretch out of it if you want to make it a little larger.
Way to put a pretty picture on what I just did.
Oh, did I do
Because
it wrong?
no. You just really made that all sound like way more legitimate.
I make pizza for a living. Hi.
Okay, but that's it.
Yeah.
We don't want it much thinner. I mean, it is, I don't know if you can see how thin that dough is.
Sorry.
And then we're gonna put what? Semolina on
I
there,
did
right?
put a little semolina on this guy.
Yeah. Oh, you already have
I already have
sem.
it all set up
Great.
for semo.
Okay, perfect. A little bit of semolina on there so that the dough will move. One of the tricks to when you're putting the toppings on is make sure your dough is always moving on the peel. If it's stuck, you want to know about that before you put the toppings on, and you can just like put where's our semolina?
Put it over here.
We can just put a little bit more under there.
There's a little pro
So-
tip if it does in fact get stuck at home, a little inside baseball on how
Okay.
to unstick a topped pizza. If you happen to have a cookie sheet or a pizza pan, set it on top of the dough and then give it a flip, and you can then peel it off, add more semolina down, and then keep moving. Because once that dough gets stuck to the wood, it is a heck of a time to get it off of the wooden peel and into a pizza stone or a pizza steel or an uni oven like this. It just makes it a lot more difficult to get it off of the wooden peel and into where you're going to bake it.
I use this.
Oh,
And I just
Nice.
get some semolina under there.
smart.
Yeah, because I'm lazier than you.
Well, we have a lot of pizza pans in our spot.
Yes,
and
I bet
if
you
there's something
do.
stuck and we're in a panic,
I bet
we
you
just
do.
flip fast.
Okay, so now we're gonna put some toppings on it, and then I'm gonna let you do it in your uni.
Okay,
And then I'm
wonderful.
also gonna do one in the home oven. We're doing a real classic margarita
Okay.
pizza. I made the sauce out of a can of Marzano tomatoes, olive oil, and salt. 3 ingredients.
Okay.
And I just put them into the blender and turned it on.
Heck yeah, easy breezy.
That is it. There's a million different topping recipes,
100%.
but this is a pretty classic one. If it doesn't come out thick enough, it's really runny, you can always strain it a little bit. Not too much. This is a pretty thin crust, so we don't want to weigh this down too much. So I'm just gonna put.
I always talk about
say yeah.
Pizza and architecture. I feel like if the foundation is your crust, if you
Uh-huh.
build that first floor and it's way too big, it won't stand up or it'll barrier the ability for the dough to bake underneath.
Oh, yeah, right, to puff up, because we want this, oh, let me get this out of the way so you can see. And then we're just gonna put some cheese on here. When you're doing a thin crust pizza like this, you don't want to get it too heavy. Also, because when you go into the oven, you don't want it to get stuck. So I would say go light at first. You can always add more.
And remember, cheese
and
melts.
I keep adding more.
If you put so much cheese down that you can't see the sauce,
Yeah.
it becomes almost impossible for the dough to cook.
Okay, so that's, I typically add a little bit of olive oil. Like when so I have a pizza oven, a wood-fired pizza oven, Fontana Forni, and I love this oven so much. And I can put the olive oil in on the crust and then bake it so it sort of bakes into the crust, and I love that. I don't always do it when I'm baking in my home oven because of the smoke.
Oh, okay.
And so maybe what we'll do is bake it and then add more olive oil.
For this oven?
Yeah,
Okay,
but
I
I was
think
going to ask you which
This
one.
this will mimic the same temperatures as your
As the
wood-fired
one
oven outside.
So do a little bit.
I would, absolutely.
Okay, let's do it.
Now, if it smokes, don't call me out.
I
So,
totally will.
Disclaimer.
Okay, and then, like Peter said, you can just give it a little stretch right before it's going into the oven.
Yeah, should I drop her?
Yeah,
All
do
right, this
it.
looks terrific.
Yeah. Okay, so you have this preheated to what temperature?
Right now, I believe we've got this guy at, there's a dial down there, but I like the infrared because it gives us an actual number. We're right up a little bit above 750. It's kind of towards the front of the oven. It's a little lower.
Okay.
It's got great even heat and underheat, so you just kind of want to get it in the middle. And if you're ever dropping these at home, it's important to wherever you're going to set it down. If you want it at this depth of the oven, don't start launching it in the front. You want to get the peel all the way in and then start to slide it out. So making sure it's moving a little bit all the way in, give it a jiggle, and drop. What you don't want to do is throw it in, because then it'll just slide up against the back of the oven.
Or all your toppings will end up at the back of the oven.
Exactly.
So the brilliant thing about this, and I'm going to start rolling out another dough ball so that we can get one into my oven as well, is that a home oven, the max temp on most ovens is, whoops, that's the wrong one, is like 400, 500 degrees.
Right.
And they're making them lower and lower. And so the beauty of an oven like this or the pizza oven is that you can really get intense heat that will set the dough and actually makes it more tender, because the faster you can bake the dough, the more tender it is. The longer it takes, the more you're drying the dough out. At least that's what I found.
I would agree.
And so if it's going to take 10, 15 minutes, you're going to end up more with like a cracker crust, which is not bad.
Yep.
It's just a totally different style. Okay, so let's get, it already smells amazing.
It does.
I don't know that you can see into that oven right now, but it's already puffing up and looks beautiful. Graham, are there any questions that people have while I'm forming this?
It's kind of far.
What? Are there any questions?
Yeah, why does the picture keep going away?
Oh, does it?
Yeah, it keeps overheating and shutting
Oh,
off.
interesting.
We've got a couple ovens going in here.
Yeah, it's kind of warm in here.
So it's starting to look great. The bottom is nicely set up.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give it a little turn. You don't actually have to give it a turn in the indoor volt uni oven, because the temperature comes circularly from above and below. I personally like to, just to give an idea of what's going on. I also think it's cooler towards the front of the door.
Oh, yeah, right.
They want some more info about that oven, what kind it is and that sort of thing.
Absolutely. So this is an uni oven. It's their indoor volt. I think it's probably the gold standard for indoor pizza cooking. It's well priced. as Zoe mentioned, she's got a beautiful wood fired oven in her backyard. Running that in the winter's very challenging.
Well,
I would
today
agree.
it's minus 5 degrees
Right.
out there because I was gonna fire it up, but yeah, minus 5's a little chilly for it. Stephanie should have a link in the chat to this oven,
Yeah.
so you can see exactly what he's got going on there. Anything else?
Looking great.
Any other questions?
Someone's asking, how long do you need to let the dough sit before you can knead it?
Oh, before you can use it? So you let the dough sit on the counter for about 2 hours, and that will activate the yeast, and then you can form it into the dough balls. If you want to, especially if you're using a full recipe, you can, after the 2 hours, you can form the dough balls, save out the ones that you want to bake, and then immediately freeze the other ones and have them for another time. If you're going to freeze dough, you don't want to let the dough balls rest for the second time at room temperature for too long. Otherwise, too much of that yeast is going to get used up and spent. Oh, show them.
Oh yes.
It's gorgeous.
She's nice and pretty.
Yeah. you
Beautiful
gotta-
crispy bottom.
Yes, and the nice charred top. That's where all the flavor is for me. Here, let's put some basil on there. Look at that. It's gorgeous. Really, really lovely. Show them the pizza cutter that you brought. Gorgeous.
I think that there's not enough high-end pizza tools when it comes to pizza making because it's
Go ahead.
notoriously such a lowbrow style cuisine, which I disagree. I think it should be a fine dining level.
Absolutely.
But Dahlstrom has this incredible, I think it's the best pizza cutter on the market.
Wait, say the name again.
I think it's Dahlstrom.
Dahlstrom. Okay,
You can take the
Dahlstrom.
blade off. I
I'll
brought
link
it
to it later.
I brought one for Zoe as a gift because I think it's amazing that she's opened up her home to do this, that her husband's been so kind to deal with all the technical challenges today, and I thought
And
if
also,
I'm making-
he knows that all of my knives are really spoons.
Yeah.
So it was self-preservation.
a little bit maybe.
Okay, let me get this one.
I'm gonna cut it into
Yeah,
a multiple
you
so we
do
can
you.
feed everybody here.
Absolutely. Yeah, we have a bit of a pizza party going
A
on.
little bit of a pizza party. I'm gonna add a little bit more basil if that's all right.
Okay. All right, so this one is gonna go into my home oven, and I'm just gonna I'm gonna switch spots with you here. So, like Peter was saying before, when you're going into the oven, just let's say this is my pizza steel. I have a pizza steel. You can use a pizza stone, a pizza steel. Say those 10 times fast. You want something that retains the heat and conducts heat. So just like with this, so that you're getting this like jolt of heat on your dough, which will make it rise and puff and do all the good things. So here's the edge of the back of it, and I'm just going to shimmy it off. Like he said, let's get it right back on. You don't want to sort of like do the bowling ball action so that it's like just hits the back of your oven. You do that exactly once.
And you learn.
And then you learn.
And you're like, Joe, that's not how you
As
do
you're
it.
scraping cheese off of the back of your oven.
And your family's waiting to make all the pizzas
And the
to feed everybody.
smoke-
And you live in a little bowl of shame. And it drives you to never do it again. So we're trying to help you avoid a cliff.
Exactly. So we are here to have made all of those mistakes for you.
I'm impressed. So I've never cooked out of a steel ever in my life. And I
yeah.
just tested, can I drop it for you?
Sure.
So I just tested it with the infrared thermometer,
Yeah,
and
how-
it's at 575 degrees. And your oven, the deck of the steel is at 575. The oven is set to 500. Do you have this going with convection at all, or is it just no convection?
No. Okay, but this is, my oven is a Blue Star, and it does have pizza stone built into it. And so if I heat the pizza stone built into the oven, it actually radiates more heat. So a
Wow.
typical at-home oven will go, like I said before, anywhere from 450 to 550 is a pretty typical home oven. And so it's going to take a little bit longer for this one to bake than it did in the uni. But you can absolutely get fantastic pizza out of your home oven. And then this is brilliant because you can just put it right on the counter, or you can do, you know, if you just find yourself, you know, just absolutely getting into this, you can get an outdoor wood-fired, although you have the oven built right into your kitchen.
I do,
Which
in my
is
house.
just goals.
Yeah, that's what
That's my goals.
Yeah, we teach a lot of pizza classes out of there.
In your house?
Yeah,
Oh.
we do them on Zoom calls
Oh,
where
got
it's
it.
like 20 to 30 people,
Oh.
private classes
Well,
for
we
like
should have a
companies.
link to that,
That'd be
too.
great.
Yeah,
and we teach
we'll link-
pizza classes in the restaurant
Well,
as well.
that I knew about. I didn't realize you were doing them at home.
That's where it all started, in fact.
Cool. Very
Yeah.
cool. We'll link to that, too.
Cool. So you're saying that this wouldn't get to that temperature of 575 without, because there's a pizza
Yes.
stone at the bottom of the oven,
That's right.
and then we have a steel in the middle.
That's right.
And that radiating temperature is what's driving the temp of the stone up to 570. So
Yeah, because it's
without
really-
that, it wouldn't get there.
That's right.
Okay.
It's just gonna get, the stone or steel will never get any hotter than the base temperature of your oven.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes
It's
total
just like
sense.
heating up to the temperature of your oven. So whatever the highest setting is on your oven is where you wanna go with pizza. And you also wanna let the pizza steel or stone preheat for as long as you can, because if you just put it in and let the oven preheat, the oven will be preheated, but the stone won't be completely preheated. It won't be at that temperature yet. And so what will happen is you'll put your pizza onto the cooler stone and you'll end up with like a flabby bottom crust. And nobody really wants a flabby
Just the
bottom.
words flabby bottom. Nobody wants that in
Nobody
any
wants
application. I will ask.
Yeah.
I had a question. What was my question? Dang it.
Can we eat the pizza?
Yeah, we should eat
Was
the
that
pizza.
your question? Okay,
Do you want to come grab a slice?
let's try it.
Well, we had a question about
Yeah.
if you were gonna put additional toppings on there, like
Yes.
meats or veggies. Would
Yes.
you suggest pre-cooking those toppings or putting them on raw?
No, well, in either of these ovens, okay, it kind of depends on what. Like if you're doing pepperoni or something like that, just throw them in, bake them. If you're doing something like a pork sausage, I would recommend that you cook it first just to make sure that you have, because especially in here when it only takes 3 minutes to bake, tell me if you have a difference of opinion on this. You know, so it depends. If the meat that you're doing is raw and sort of larger pieces, I might cook it first.
Yeah, I like everything to be pre-cooked.
Yeah.
Obviously not the pepperoni or the sopressata or things like that that's cured.
Yep.
I don't worry about
Yep,
it.
yep.
But it is actually very fun to do like the cup and chars in a big ripping oven like this and then add them later.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's just a texture thing. But when it comes to raw meats, that's a big no for us.
Yeah, yeah.
Within the restaurant itself, but also just as a baseline, I feel like it's a little bit too risky in general to get it fully cooked and get it to the proper temperatures. Now, of course, there's the argument that when you cook a raw sausage like on a pizza, like there is a certain level of flavor that kind of comes out.
So I do it in my pizza oven
Sure.
that's outside, the Fontana Forni. But that thing's 900 degrees. So everything cooks in that thing. Whether it's raw or cooked or whatever, it's gonna be safe because it's just crazy hot. In the home oven, not so much.
It smells so good in here because usually you can tell when the pizza's done because you can smell it.
Smell it, yeah.
And so it's throwing me off, and I keep opening that
Yeah,
door
stop
like a
opening
knucklehead.
the
Stop
door.
it. Sorry. Yes, chef. Apologies.
Okay, but here's the thing about, and there is a light. We can turn the
Oh, I'll
light
do
on
that,
for
okay.
you. The brilliant thing also about having a stone or a steel in the oven is that even if Peter keeps opening the door, which you probably shouldn't do so much.
Yeah, don't do that.
Shouldn't do
We're
that
trying to
so
show you
much.
what not to do.
But that stone will also regulate the heat. And so you're not, even though some of the heat is escaping from the oven, it's still going to be fine because that stone is maintaining the temperature in a way that wouldn't happen if you were like to do it on a baking sheet or something thinner.
Yeah. I think it is worth talking about. I've taught a lot of home cooks how to do pizzas at home in my classes, online and in the restaurant. But I've had a number of people ask me this, and it came to me. I was a little alarmed by the question or the statement that they take their stone out of the oven and then build the pizza on it. And just since we have an audience of people making pizza at home, don't do that.
No,
Don't do that. It's very dangerous. If you have a stone or a steel, that alone, just taking it out of the oven, is very dangerous. It's very hot. And also, it's going to go against the whole notion of trying to actually
keep it as
hot as possible. So while you may think you've got a little cheat there by taking the stone out of the oven, use a wooden pizza peel and then set it right on the stone.
Interesting.
I was alarmed to hear that,
Yeah,
but it
I
became
haven't-
more common in my
Really?
class where I've heard that. So
Interesting.
just
That's a
public
new
service
one.
announcement. Careful out there, kids.
Plus, they're kind of heavy
Yeah,
and
I
awkward.
understood, yeah.
So just, a little safety tip. Okay, I'm going to go test it or take a look at it.
You should.
Yeah.
The light's on now, so don't
you know
open the
what?
oven.
We had teased them about the different kinds of flours that
Oh,
you
yes.
use, so
So
maybe tell them the kind
I
of
will.
flour that you use.
So at Red Wagon Pizza at my restaurant, we use a heritage wheat. So it comes from two different farms, one in North Dakota and one in Wisconsin. And we take two varieties of heritage wheat and we blend them in our restaurant to achieve our flavor profile. I firmly believe, and this is probably something where people would argue with me about this, but I firmly believe that the fermentation process is where you build flavor into pizza, because the Caputo 00 largely has not a lot of flavor to it, so we have to ferment flavor into it. So we're at Red Wagon, what we do is we partner with farmers, and then I articulate my flavor profiles based on the grain that was grown, and then let it shine, and I just try to get out of the way.
And these are, I may have missed it because I was admiring the pizza, but you talked about how they're locally grown, right?
Yes, North Dakota and Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So 90% of our grains is a grain called Rough Rider. It's a heritage wheat out of North Dakota. And then the other 10% is a red fife. And I like to talk about
And this is through Bakersfield?
Bakersfield
Okay.
in northeast Minneapolis
Yep,
here.
yep.
Amazing operation. It goes through a stone mill. It literally goes from wheat berry into a dough ball in less than about 5 days.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because I like to talk about food, especially pizza, and I think about music. And I would say that
I'm listening. I just have to
the
check
loudest instrument in our symphony of flavors at Red Wagon and our dough come from the red fife. That red fife is the loudest instrument. And so even though it is only 10% of the actual dough itself, it is the loudest of all the music we hear. Let's hit it. This looks great.
It looks great.
It looks terrific.
It looks great.
Let's check out the bottom.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Look at that.
Ooh, yeah.
Slidey cheese. But what he's looking for, here, I'm going to just hold it up. Can you see? Can you
It looks
see?
terrific.
Do we have any?
No,
Yes,
it's perfect.
it looks great.
Yeah.
Nice and crisp on the bottom. Nice puff to it. So you absolutely can get a beautiful pie
May I
out
cut
of
it?
your. Yeah, please. Let's get some. I like to add my basil. Can you cut with me right in your way?
Yeah.
I like to add the basil after it's baked because I just find the flavor is fresher. I don't love dried basil on my pizza,
I
but
agree.
and I am just wearing black and baking pizza is probably not.
No, you're a little right there. I came in all
Do
blue.
I have it?
Yeah.
And
There-
look at this.
There's some right here on your noggin. It's all right.
It's awesome.
That's when you know you're doing
It's
it
because
right.
I'm dedicated to my craft.
Yeah, you wear your job.
So I forgot to mention again that we're here to donate money to World Central Kitchen. So if you haven't donated yet, please do. It's going to fantastic organization who go to these incredible places that are dealing with real crisis and feeding these people. So it's really essential work, and we're so grateful that we're not in a crisis and that we can do this and use the little bit of talents that we have
Hurts.
to do this. and it's delicious. And our friend Shannon is here. And do you want some pizza?
Yeah, come over, grab a slice.
Come and have some pizza.
We're almost at 5,000. We're going up
Oh,
to 25.
yay!
So
Yes, and
yes,
so
keep climbing.
yeah, Shannon is here joining us
Yeah, this
today.
one with the-
And try this one's nice and hot too.
That's true, I forgot.
And she is going to match your donations up to $25,000. So it's such an amazing opportunity to make our money go even further. And I hope you'll all bake pizza
Incredible.
at home. And thank you very much.
You're welcome.
That's so civilized. And so if you have more questions, we're happy to answer your questions. And thank you both.
Oh.
This was a blast. A little
So fun.
chaotic, but a blast.
Super
Once you
fun.
got on though, it was
Yeah.
smooth
Yeah,
Oh,
sailing.
good,
smooth
good, good.
sailing.
Thank you all
Yeah.
for being here, for putting up with our slow start, for generously donating. None of this would be happening if it weren't for you and your donations. And it's, you know, I feel so connected to this organization because I love to feed people. And so I really feel like the work that they're doing is incredibly necessary and special. And I'm so grateful that those people show up in these really tough conditions and make it happen.
100%.
And you're gonna keep the link open for
Yes.
Couple days?
Right. And
yeah. So send
I,
it to your friends. Keep climbing. We're
Yeah.
matching 25,000.
yes,
So,
thank you. Thank you. It's so awesome. So yeah, we'll keep this up. So please tell your friends, send them the link. The video will be there. The donation button will be there. They can still donate. We'll keep taking the donations and send them off to World Central Kitchen. This was
Amazing.
awesome.
It was awesome.
It was
Thanks so much for opening your home. It's been beautiful. It's been a blast.
It
I
has
love
been a
making
blast.
pizzas, and there's
I know,
fewer
this
people
is
that I
so
can
great.
enjoy making pizzas with more.
Thank you. Did we lose it again?
Is that a wrap?
the crunch on that cut though was magic.
Was it?
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm
It's
gonna
like
taste one more.
delicious,
Yay!
Mmm.
And are we done?
right?
Are we still there?
Yep.
We're still here.
Hey, you should have some of that.
Can you
Did
whip
you
out the
try one
chocolate
already?
chip cookies next?
Oh, I love a live broadcast
This is
because
a new. I've never done this
now
before.
you don't have any editing, and so this is just real life, folks.
Yeah.
I'm just surprised the dogs aren't in here trying to steal all the pizza because that would be the finale.
This is so good. Did you get a slice yet?
I'm going to,
Oh,
yeah.
my goodness.
So thank you for coming. Thank you again, Graham. I know this was really a test. And I'm so grateful to all of you and my community. And
Feeling
happy
very grateful.
baking.
Happy baking.